told you that even though my plan was to listen to the Shefty pod on the airplane today, I couldn't wait. So I listened this morning very early to Adam Schefter's podcast, available wherever podcasts are found, including on the ESPN app. And I'm going to present some nuggets to you from the Shefty pod.
Okay.
All right? I'm going to fire them at you. You guys can react. He and Ty Schmidt from Pat McAfee talked about first-round quarterbacks. They said the number on ESPN bet is 2.5, over-under. Shefty said if I had to place a bet right now, at the time of the recording, I'd bet the under.
Under?
That's what he said. Under.
Okay.
Now, here's the thing. It was not clear. I don't mean Adam wasn't clear. It's not clear in general who the second quarterback is going to be. There is still a chance that Jackson Dart is the second quarterback drafted. And there is still a chance that Shedeur Sanders is not drafted in the first round of the NFL draft. I'm not saying that's likely because I have a hard time believing that at 21, if he's available, the Steelers won't do it. But it's what we've learned from Schefter and Mel Kiper Jr. is that it's not impossible that one quarterback is drafted in the first round.
That's crazy. To think that Shedeur Sanders would slide all the way out of the first round based off of what we've seen him do in 4 years of college football, that would be absolutely wild. But, again, there's no consensus on him. There's no consensus on the quarterbacks in general. There's no consensus on this draft class at all. Beauty is truly going to be in the eye of the beholder. And so that's why I think it's absolutely fascinating to see how it falls and to see just exactly where Shedeur goes, because this is somebody that can have an instant impact in terms of being a year-one starter for a team that has an opportunity to contend if he parachutes into the right situation.
Yeah, I would be a little surprised if he slides that far. But then again, in Adam Schefter's piece that he dropped earlier this week with all those draft nuggets, he revealed that some teams, multiple, have Tyler Shuck rated as their top quarterback in this draft. So outside of Cam Ward, there really is such variance when it comes to the evaluations of the rest of the quarterbacks in this draft. So, yeah, you're right. The beauty really will be in the eye of the beholder. But if Shedeur is there, I have a hard time thinking that he would get out of the first round, because I think a team who has a need at the position would see him sitting there and maybe make a move to jump back in and grab him.
Okay, here's another one. This one was juicy from Schefter's pod. So there is a chance that more quarterbacks will be taken in the first 8 or 9 picks of the second round than the entire first round combined.
Why?
So it just seems, for whatever reason, that some of these teams are going to potentially pass on quarterbacks in the first round, and then in the second round, if, like you've assumed, CC, that the Giants or the Browns, if somebody like Shedeur slips or Jackson Dart in their mind slips, you trade back up, you get in there. They may not have to.
Well, the only reason why I was saying they would trade back up into the first round is because they would have the benefit of the fifth-year option, which represents another opportunity for another year for team control. What we're learning is that NFL teams are devaluing that when it comes to the quarterbacks, because if you hit on your guy after the first 3 years, you're going to go ahead and pay him. Because it becomes cheaper to do it earlier rather than let them play out the string with their rookie deals. So the fifth-year option specific to the quarterback position does not matter to these NFL teams like it did once upon a time.
That's an
just based
point.
on the math of the position, the economics of the position. That's strange.
Yeah.
But I think that's the reality of where we are in today's NFL.
It's not strange the way you properly put it, that I haven't heard anyone put it that way. Because you're not making your decision after year 4. You're making your decision after year 2 or 3.
Correct.
So you're never actually getting contractually to the year 4.
Yeah.
So forget the year 5. It doesn't matter.
Fifth-year option doesn't matter.
Okay, but here's the interesting thing, right? So from Shefty, the idea that maybe there's more quarterbacks taken in the first 8 or 9 picks of round 2 Friday night, ESPN Radio, ESPN TV, ABC, which will be awesome, by the way. It adds a lot of juice to Friday night. Let's just say the under hits on quarterbacks in the first round. So if the over-under ESPN bet is 2.5, let's say the under hits. Let's say it's 2 quarterbacks. Cam Ward, you pick the second one.
Shedeur
Sanders. Okay. So that means no Dart, no Shuck, no Milroe. 33 Browns, 34 Giants, 37 Raiders, 40 Saints. Those guys could be drafted right there. And if there's 3 in the first 8 or 9, that is more technically than the first round, right? Because if there's only 2, like Smalls, we've penciled in Jalen Milroe to the Browns a million times. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but that's not going to surprise you. Jackson Dart at 34 to the Giants will not surprise anyone. I promise you that. No. And then the Saints at 40, Tyler Shuck, Jalen, I already put Milroe off the board, but Tyler Shuck, let's say at 40, or Shuck at 34 to the Giants and Dart at 40. That's not going to surprise anybody. That's what Shefty is saying there.
Yeah, I could definitely see that playing out. I could definitely see those quarterbacks, that little cluster that you just mentioned, being there at the top of the first round and them going in quick order. That would not be all that surprising.
Okay, some other notes from Shefty's podcast. All right? He said, Tyreek Hill is not going to the Cowboys. A.J. Brown is not going to the Patriots. So the veteran wide receiver trade market, he's not saying it's not there. Well, with A.J. Brown, he said he's not getting traded. But he's basically like, let's slow our roll a little bit on that. All right? These next few are very interesting. He said he would be very surprised if the Rams took a quarterback in the first round.
I would too.
So even though we've talked about the idea of Shedeur or Jackson Dart slipping, I think the Rams are win now. And he said Stafford could be playing another 2 years. There's no need to do that at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, why would you invest a premium draft pick into a player that's not going to play, that's not going to help you while you are firmly in a window that you've created by being able to draft well on the defensive side of the ball?
Yeah, wouldn't you want to maximize the window that you have left with Matthew Stafford by putting the requisite talent around him and going for it again?
Yes,
yeah.
And I think that's
if the Rams don't have an opportunity to get an offensive tackle, and from what it sounds like, there's going to be a run on offensive linemen early in this draft, I absolutely expect them to draft a defensive back. Like 3 of the 4 starters in their defensive secondary are scheduled to be free agents after 2025. So I absolutely expect that if they can't get an offensive lineman, they're going to go defensive back.
2 more notes from Schefter's podcast. Go download the podcast wherever you get your podcasts, including the ESPN app. This has kind of become a thing, and Schefter obviously leads the way on giving us the information. He said as of this moment, he would not necessarily expect the Saints to draft a quarterback in the first round. A lot of people have penciled in Shedeur, and he's not saying 100%, but a lot of people have penciled in Shedeur or Jackson Dart at 9, or them trading back up from 40. He's saying that's not what he would expect at this moment. Now, here's the juiciest one. Specifically for one Chris Canty, who's going to absolutely love the little hint that Shefty dropped. He said the Seattle Seahawks have not drafted a quarterback in rounds 1 or 2 in 30 years. Would John Schneider, their general manager, take a look at that this year? He did not say they were going to do it. He did not say they were going to draft a specific quarterback. Shefty did not say round 1 or round 2. He just pointed out in the last 30 years, the Seattle Seahawks have not drafted a quarterback in rounds 1 or 2. And the reason that I said CC specifically would like it is because you said that you think that is the sleeper quarterback team in the first round.
Yes.
And Shefty doesn't drop a nugget like that without info. That is not to say it's going to happen. He never said it's going to happen, but he was very clear to point out in 30 years, Seattle has not done that.
Well, remember.
Since Rick Meyer.
Remember what John Schneider and Pete Carroll did early on in their tenure, right? They signed Matt Flynn to that free agent deal. I want to say that was 2012. And then they ended up drafting Russell Wilson in the 3rd round, and Russell Wilson ended up being the starter relatively early on his rookie year, and the rest is history. They went to 2 Super Bowls over the span of 3 years. So, yeah, I could absolutely see Seattle running it back. And it's what you always say about the quarterback rules, which are featured on ESPN.com.
Twice.
You take a quarterback when you want one, not